Goldylocks Productions broadcasts universal cosmic frequencies that unlock, awaken, and expand the consciousness of our worldwide viewers and listeners. Explore secrets of the universe with show host Sherri Zimmerman. Navigate between the worlds of both the physical and the spiritual planes of existence.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Secrets of the Universe. So I'm quite excited today about our guest that we have on. I actually have had Sarah on a year ago when I was just doing the radio show in Florida. So now I'm kind of bringing back some of the people that have been on my radio show onto this live Secrets of the Universe show. And so I want to tell you a little bit about Sarah. Her name is Sarah Breskman Cosme. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Yeah, she's a certified master hypnotist and a level 3 QHHT practitioner, which I'll get in with Sarah about what that means. And she's also an author of a new book that I'm very excited about called A Hypnotist's Journey to Atlantis. So Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
I'm so excited to finally get to, speak with you on this kind of a platform. So tell us a little bit about you. Like, I know about the QHHT. So if you want to share a little bit about what that is and maybe how you got into it. And
Sure. I'm one of those people that just had a lot of problems when I was growing up, and I went to traditional therapy for many years. And I know it works really well for a lot of people, but for me, I didn't really get the results that I desired. And I decided that even though I would still pursue a job in in psychology and become a therapist. And I went to college, and when I did, a really strange thing happened to me. About 2 months after I went to college, I came home to my parents' house, and there's a mirror that you can look at when you first walk into the house. And I noticed right away that everything about me had changed just from being away for 2 months. And I realized I had lost weight. I had I felt cured of all the issues that I went to therapy for. And I had only just done one different thing. I had changed my environment and changed my thoughts. And I thought, oh my gosh, like this is incredible. But there was really no one for me to really talk to about this. So I just continued, and I graduated, and I was going to go down the path of becoming a psychologist. I was going to take a little break and intern at this halfway house where I was a counselor at a halfway house. And my job was to basically give medication to these wonderful people. And I noticed maybe about a week into working there that for me, it seemed like everything I had learned was almost a lie. I mean, I know it helps a lot of people, but the medication that I saw just seemed to numb these beautiful people. And within maybe 45 minutes of me starting a shift, they'd be drooling and laying down on the couch, and it just didn't seem like anybody was getting any better. I mean, all the things I learned in college just didn't seem to add up for me. Right. And then I eventually got into hypnotherapy, and I studied with Dr. Brian Weiss. And then I studied QHHT, which is quantum healing hypnosis technique. And that's what I do now. I became a level 3 in 2018, and it's just been amazing, an amazing journey for me. A level 3 is pretty much a master of this method. It's the highest level you can get. And I've been really lucky to teach with Dolores's daughter all over the world, except now with the COVID, it's not happening, but they do online classes.
Yeah. And that's interesting, because I was actually turned on to Dolores Cannon. For anyone who may not know who she is, she was a hypnotist, actually from way back. We're talking, I believe it was 70s, 80s, when she initially started. Yeah. And she actually developed her own kind of technique from the books I read about her and about her work. So she was just really, I found her fascinating. Anybody that really wants to look into what Dolores created and how she does hypnotism, quite a bit different than your regular type of hypnotist. She does have a certain way that she would do her work. And you can find her on YouTube all over the place, which is where I found her. A friend of mine had told me about her, and I'm like, oh, let me look into it. And she was just absolutely fascinating. And what I really got hooked on is she wrote books about Nostradamus. It's called Conversations with Nostradamus. And I've always been floored by Nostradamus. But anyway, getting back to what you do. So you decided after seeing the amazing results and what Dolores Cannon was doing, who has since passed. She passed, I believe, 2015. So then you kind of started working more with her daughter. I do catch her from time to time. So yeah, that's the work is just fascinating. So maybe we can kind of help people understand that some of the basis of the work is going back in time, right? Maybe you can.
It is. I mean, the basis of it is a past life regression, but people don't always go to a past life. I mean, what's so fascinating about doing a QHHT session is that you might go to another planet, and you might even go to different, the spirit realm or life between lives. It really doesn't matter. But everybody has a spiritual team. They're guides, and they're going to show you exactly what they want you to see. So you can't really mess up a session. I mean, they're so divinely planned. I had one client tell me that all her life she saw the numbers 1974 when difficult things were happening to her in her life. It would be like in a book, it would open and be like 19 or 74. And she came to me for a session, and she wanted to ask that question, why do I always see 1974? And her higher self, her subconscious said, that's to show her that this was planned, because that's my birth date, to show how intricately we're connected. And I had another client tell me they planned for her to see me when she was 3 years old, which was 5 years before I was born.
Oh my God, are you serious?
It's such a match.
Wow.
But anyway, what QHHT is really popular for is people can heal themselves so easily. So the body is constantly sending us messages. And through a QHHT session, you can find out what's really going on with your body. And you can find out what caused it, or what do you really need to understand about it. Like, for instance, I've noticed a lot of people with back issues. Most of the time it's from feeling unsupported or maybe a burden. I mean, the body is so literal, and it just wants to be heard. And once you understand what's going on with the body, the issue can be released and healed instantly. And that's why this is so popular. I mean, it's popular for that, of course, but it's also popular because you could find out anything. I mean, Dolores wrote tons of books because she found so much material. And it's great for a person to have a QHHT session because they can find out about themselves. People are so surprised to learn that they're not just this little human. They're this huge, big, beautiful soul that's lived thousands and thousands of times before, or sometimes they're part of a different planet. It's just incredible what you can find in a QHHT session.
I think for me, I think what's always been powerful for me, because I'm very much into past life, uncovering past life information. And for me, it's I let people know, in this lifetime, even if you don't understand the past life stuff, in this lifetime, let's say you've had an issue that has been ongoing for 30 years, which I can relate to some of this. And no matter what you've done, and I've done a lot of new age modalities. I did therapy for 10 years with a spiritual traditional counselor or metaphysical counselor. I mean, I can't tell you all the things I've done. And I still know that when I tell people, if there's something you've been working on for a long time and it has not subsided, you can be sure that it's coming from another lifetime. And once you get to the root of that, like you said, it's automatic for the most part. So it's funny because I do have a woman I'm working with now that I really enjoy, but she doesn't do the regression, which is what I want to do. That's one of the reasons I want to get with you one of these days.
Come down.
Yeah, I know. Now I moved to North Carolina, so now I'll have to take a trip back. But I want to do the actual past life. She actually just goes right into your spirit guides and gives you the information. But I do think there's something about the actual regression itself.
There is. Because you're right. Sometimes the issue can stem from a different lifetime. And just once the conscious mind sees it, it's instantly gone. But also, sometimes people have issues for many, many years just because the issue wants to be understood. For instance, there was a couple clients I had with scoliosis, and it would cause all different types of pain throughout their body. And almost every single time the issue was caused because when they were growing up, they didn't want to be above anyone. So they kind of shrunk their body on purpose to kind of be lesser than, to be lower, to not shine their greatness. Things like that can be instantly healed. So sometimes long-term issues really can be just a message. Yeah. But you're right. A lot of times it's a past life issue.
Yeah, no, I just, it only makes sense to me. I know some people just can't seem to get to that idea that you would have something that would, first of all, to even understand, that there's other lives, right? And then, and of course, I always try to explain, it's about the soul. We all come back to the earth again and again. It's all about soul growth. So, and it's not just for our soul growth, it's for the collective soul as well.
Right, so exactly.
When you really understand, wow, this isn't my first rodeo, I've been doing this, for some time. And then it's, I explain the soul carries over to the different lifetimes. Of course, it makes us stop in between on the other side.
Right.
We kind of we get reorganized when we go back to the other side and make a new plan. Okay, I'm going to go down this time and do this,
Right.
It just makes so much sense to me. It's not, I have such memory of, so I think when people can really understand the soul just carries over our different issues or whatever it is that we have unfinished in another lifetime.
Exactly, because you keep repeating it until you finished it.
Yeah.
Not because anybody's forcing you to, because
and it's not a punishment, right?
No, all souls want the experience. They want the growth. They want to learn and master their lessons. It's almost like a game in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's so fascinating, the other side after you've left your physical body. It's so interesting. It's really interesting how a lot of people, excuse me, will explain going to a class. Like they go over their life and they learn different techniques, for their next incarnation.
Right. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. I explain to people, it's kind of like going to college or being in college, and you have a guidance counselor, you have a counselor, and they kind of go over what kind of classes you might need for whatever it is that you're moving towards, whatever degree you're trying to get. So it's kind of the same idea. I mean, we're looking at different subjects having to do with, being able to raise your vibration, be a more well-rounded understanding of compassion and, patience and whatever it is that you still have yet to learn. So I just have never had any real big, I mean, once I got into all of this around 28 to 30 years old, I just, for me, it makes so much sense more for me than when I hear people who are still trying to do, and I'm not against the traditional medicines, or I think everything has its place, but there's something more deeper when we're talking about an emotional hook. It's
yes, like definitely.
Hook from another lifetime. I still have fears, which I haven't checked out yet. I'm going to soon. Like I have a fear of heights. I have a fear of, I don't like any kind of bugs, any kind of creepy crawly bugs. I freak out. I mean, I really freak out. So I know I've had other lifetimes where I've had to deal with that stuff. So, these are a couple different things that I try to tell people, whatever fears you have are usually always connected to a past life. And once, like you say, once you actually go back to that place and kind of be aware, and I think that's where it gets tricky for some people, where they can't quite, like, how do you go back, to that? And it's more of a memory, right? Or even a body memory. It's a body memory.
It can be a body memory. It's actually really easy. It's just when you do this kind of method, you're guided, almost like a guided meditation, and you don't normally see, as in like seeing a movie. It's just somewhere in your mind you see it, or sometimes you just sense. Some people just know. It's very easy to do.
Yeah, it's very, I just find it amazing. I mean, I think it's one of the best healing techniques. I'm really, really living almost 60 years. I'll be 60 next year. And I think of all the things I've done in my life and what things I almost feel are the most outstanding things that I would recommend to somebody who's got, a medical problem or an emotional, there's really about 4 or 5 really big things. And one of them is past lives. I just feel that that's monumental. I think it's monumental. So,
it's so healing. It's so healing. Just also when it comes to your relationships too, because so often people have an issue with someone and they think that person is against them. Yeah. But if they do a session, they realize that that person didn't want to be against them. They're doing it for their own soul's growth, their own benefit.
Right. And you agree to it.
You actually want it.
Yeah.
You want it.
I know one past life that this woman I've been working with brought up, and it was a connection with my older brother, who apparently in another lifetime way back, and she told the time period and everything, and we were a husband and wife in that lifetime, and he accused me of being a witch. So, and of course I was a healer, and I worked with the medicines and worked with the land, and knew how to work with plants as medicine. And so in that time period, that was a really big thing. And I was put to death by drowning. But what was interesting is she actually saw me, and she started channeling this woman I work with. And she said, I see you in a red dress, and I see you, she described the whole scene of me being drowned. And when she said the red dress, when I tell you, it was so, I have never in this lifetime worn a red. I don't like red.
Wow.
Meaning a solid red. Like there may be a little bit of red or deeper, darker, but I always stayed away from red. And when she said that, it was almost like a click. Like, oh my gosh, that's why I always hated red. And it's funny, once I had that session with her, now I want to wear red. Now it's like my power color. Now it's like claiming back my personal power. Like, I'm wearing red,
But it's
so
it's like really, like a symbol of that healed, that's done. That healed, you could wear red again.
Yeah, and it explains a lot of my relationship with that brother too, which is really interesting. The kind of relationship we've had in this lifetime, which stemmed from, that lifetime. So yeah, it really is. I don't know. I tell you, as I get older, I don't know how people don't go deep like that. Like it doesn't make sense to me. For me, it's the best way of really getting some deep answers way beyond this world, Well,
I think some people don't go deep, don't want to do it because they're scared, because some religions say it's against their religion, so they're afraid they're doing something wrong. But it's just like going to sleep at night. There's absolutely nothing unnatural about it.
Right.
And hypnosis and deep meditation are completely natural. And also, I think some people are worried they're going to get stuck. But you never get stuck in this. You don't get stuck in sleep. If you're ever nervous, you just open your eyes and you're there in the chair. But I think that's one thing that deters some people that are worried.
No, I think you're right. I do think religion plays a big part on, what is not, some people just have a way different idea of that line, not like, it's almost like, as long as they believe, well, this is the one life, and if you're born again or whatever your religion might be, I think you're right. I think there is a fear of thinking that's a little bit too out there. Do you know what I mean? Or too,
Right. Yeah. Yes. But the thing about these sessions also is that when you do these sessions, you realize how much power you have. So that can be a little dangerous for somebody that wants that power over you, because it's almost like after you do these sessions, you're like, you sometimes think, wow, I don't, I'm not gonna let someone control me anymore. I'm
yeah,
this huge,
yeah,
beautiful soul with this
yeah.
purpose.
Yeah, and I think it also, for me, it also has brought me a feeling of feeling lighter. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a feeling of lightness in the way of knowing that everything's not wrapped up in this lifetime. You know what I mean? It's almost
Right.
like,
Yeah.
wow, what a wonderful thing to know that we don't have just one life to get it right, right? We only have one life, and we're like, oh my God, well, I really kind of didn't do well in the first part. You know what I mean? You go through all this crazy, like, oh my God,
Right.
one life, So when you say, I tell people, don't worry, you got more lifetimes if you want to come back and, straighten that out, not that we shouldn't be, we all should be striving each lifetime, of course. You
Right.
don't want to just say, well, I'll put it off. But I mean, for people that get worried about that, I'm like, it's okay. You can come back and correct it, or you can do it now, which would be
Right.
great because you would be one step ahead, So
Right.
it's not like, you're in school, in grade school, and you can't get through third grade. So, you have to take it again,
Right.
So
Exactly.
it really, I find it amazing. I just can't, I don't know anymore, really, when I do speak with people, it's weird because I guess I'm just so into that kind of understanding that I'm almost like, how can you live this life and not like
Right.
I'm working, with different people, and I'm trying to help them understand, at some point, especially after you've lived 30 to 40 years, I'm going to say even 40, you start kind of saying, wait a minute, when you think of the whole world and what's happening every day, every decade, it's like you've got to start thinking there's something else going on. Children die all the time young, whether it be cancer, whether it be an abuse, there's all different scenarios. So when we think about life in general, for me, it was like at some point you got to say there's got to be something more going on that I'm I'm just not remembering or being aware of. And for
Right.
me, that is the reincarnation. For me, that is, oh, well, that's why the 4-year-old, ended up leaving the earth plane,
Right.
for whatever soul reasons they are. Or that's why that 6-year-old can play a piano like they were masters, So it's just amazing to me how, for those that really aren't there yet, and I believe everybody does now. I'm a believer. Even people that say they're skeptic, I believe skeptics are just fearful that they don't want
I
to.
think so too.
They don't want to remember what they really do know. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? Yeah,
Right. I think
yeah,
so too. I think a lot of, maybe some of it is denial too. If you know you're
yeah.
here for a
Like you
mission
said,
and you're not doing it.
yeah, I think once you do know, like you say, it gives you more of your power. It
Right.
really does.
It does. It
Yeah,
does. It's such a peaceful existence to know these things. Like when someone dies, to know, oh, they're totally fine. In fact, they're
yeah,
better than fine. They're
yeah,
having fun.
yeah. And that's kind of the things I like to bring up is like, it depends on your perception. If you really believe this is it, well, then murder is going to be a very different picture for you than
Right.
somebody who understands reincarnation.
Right.
So, I got into a conversation with somebody just a couple of weeks ago, and it's interesting again, because for some people it's so far thinking, and for me it's like so natural. And it's
Right.
like, well, if somebody gets killed, does that mean the murderer was also, if you do plan this on the other side? I said, yeah, actually, that is true. Sometimes
Yeah.
we actually play those different roles for, again, a purpose of our higher soul growth and for the
Right.
collective. It's always for both. To me, it's
It
always,
is. It is.
yeah.
We've all been
So,
murderers. We've all been murderers and we've all been murdered.
right. We're all on playing different roles of it so we can understand it better. Yeah.
Right.
That's how I
Right.
explain it. I said, if somebody has a real strong prejudice and they really can't, really are having a hard time in the way of they're being ignorant and just, you know, not wanting to really understand, or they will come back as that particular prejudice so that they really can, you know, understand it if they haven't had a lifetime already, you know.
Right, exactly. So they can get that experience.
Yeah, so they can learn that and understand. It gives you a broader understanding. It gives you a much broader. I find it offers too a lot more forgiveness. I know when I watch shows now, I love all the, you know, Dateline, all the shows about murders, your mysteries, murders.
So
you know, I
interesting.
look at them the same way. You know, I stopped looking at them that way a long time ago. And I don't want to make this sound like we don't have compassion. You still have compassion for the person, you know, whose family just lost a loved one, you know, whether it be
Right.
murder or anything else. I mean, you still, you know, we recognize that we're human beings, you know, as well as spiritual beings, but, you know, we recognize the human part. So it's not like, you know, we would still be compassionate, but you understand it in a whole different way. So if you think this is the only life, well, then death would be, you're going to see that so different than, you know, if you understand that we go through death many times, you know.
Right. And if you allow yourself to connect with that loved one, because no one dies and they're still there
Yeah.
and they still want a relationship, is what they always say.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. I mean, we don't go anywhere. I mean, I won't get into it on this show because we're not going to, time is flying already speaking with you. But I get into that with the whole abortion issue. I don't call them abortions anymore. I call them reversals. Because I don't believe in the word abortion. I use the word reversals, which means the spirit just goes back to the source. And it's an agreement between mother and child before you even come in. So, you know, a lot of people just, you know, some people just can't really get there about that issue.
I've had so many clients come because they have so much trauma and guilt about having an abortion. And the soul of the aborted child will say, of course we knew, coming from, you know, source, we knew exactly what we were getting into. We didn't want to live a full life because they wanted that experience. Some of them wanted to be with the mother for just a little while and then not have to live a full life. And sometimes it's for the mother. So the mother can, in one of the cases, this mother went on to become a therapist, but she wouldn't have done that had she
not that experience.
had, yeah. So it's so planned.
Exactly. And I think that's the part, you know, that people miss, that are really still into the thinking of, oh my God, you've murdered a baby. And I'm like, you can't kill a spirit.
Right.
You can't kill a spirit. And as much as you want to call it killing a child, for me, it's an agreement that was made. And you're right. Some things wouldn't have happened if something else didn't happen. So there's a bigger plan. There's a much bigger, I don't know.
I guess people that feel really comfortable with their religion and that is against their religion, then to them it's wrong.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah. No. Wherever you are, you know, wherever you're at in life, that's, you know, no judgment.
Right.
Yeah, it's all, everybody just trying to see something. For me, it was much more about, in my earlier life, seeing the same old tragedies. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's something missing here. You know, there's something deeper going on. And, you know, once I got into the reincarnation understanding, it was like, whoa. I mean, it was just like, it opened up everything. It just opened up, your whole world opens up, you know?
You have so much awareness. You've never done a QHHT session?
No, but I really have a lot of memory of being on the other side.
Oh, okay.
Not total, but I have a lot of memory.
That's incredible. You've conscious memory of it?
Yeah, being on the other side.
So
yeah.
neat.
And I've had experiences in this lifetime where I literally was back on the other side. Like one of them was,
wow.
I've had a couple reversals due to medical condition. And I never felt guilt about it. I felt more for myself personally. I felt a deep sadness and a loss because I loved having children. I loved being able to raise children or have them. So for me, it was really painful in that respect. But I remember thinking about it, and I had a dream one night, and I used to call it a dream, but I don't call it a dream anymore. I know I was on the other side, and I saw mine. They were right in front of me, and they were like glowing lights, but I could see more definitions of them. And then there was hundreds and hundreds of children all around me. I mean, hundreds. And they were large, small, all different size lights. And I knew they were children. So they were actually showing me, reminding me really, we're here, we haven't gone anywhere, nothing's been done wrong, but again, that goes back to, it goes back to how you want to perceive, you're right. If somebody's really into a strong religious, this is what it is, then, you may not get there,
Almost every time when a client comes in and they have fibroids, I instantly think in my mind, they probably had an abortion.
Yeah.
And it's usually guilt that's trapped there.
Yes.
And they have to let it go.
Oh, I find a lot. They come up in my readings. Or when I do tarot readings, the children come up all the time. Children that are reversals, children that are miscarriages, they come up in my readings all the time. And it's funny because when I work with people, especially if I'm at a fair or something, which I don't do a lot of them anymore, but I would immediately, when I see the children in the cards, and they say, well, no, I only have one. I said, well, I'm definitely seeing two. I said, did you have, a miscarriage or an abortion, which I don't call abortions anymore. They're called reversals. Immediately, the person I could see, they say, yeah, I had a reversal. Like, it makes it more understandable for them to say, oh, okay, this is something that we already agreed to. I didn't do anything horribly wrong in that respect. So, it's just amazing to me. You're right. We hold that stuff in our bodies,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. So amazing.
It is. I love the work you're doing. I could talk to you for like super hours and hours. So I want to go into a couple other things. Tell us what it is that you're like doing now. I know things have changed because of COVID. So how are you working with all of this now?
I'm still working in person. QHHT is an in-person session, but I have a special air filter that claims to get out 99% of all viruses in my office, and I keep a distance, and then I clean every single thing.
Yeah, I think it's like anything else. I mean, you don't have to be real close. I mean, somebody can be in the room and be like away a little bit, and you're doing,
Right. But I finally finished my book, which was a labor of love.
It was a good 15 minutes. Let's go over that.
Okay. It all started, I don't know about you, but I normally don't tell other people what I believe in. I just let people talk to me. And so I don't hunt people down. People that want a session, they usually just come to me.
Yeah.
Because I respect everybody's belief systems. Well, I used to go to the playground every single day with this one woman, and I never brought up anything spiritual or anything like that. In fact, I don't think she knew what I did. A lot of people know what I do around here, but I don't think she knew. But every day we would go to the playground after school, and our kids would be playing. And finally, one day I asked her if she wanted to do a session because I needed somebody that wasn't going to pay me. I needed somebody that I could use to get the level 3, which I had to submit a video.
Yeah, you needed a practice person.
Yeah. I mean, I had been doing it for a long time beforehand, but I wasn't a level 3, and I wanted to go further. And right when I told her what it was about, because I said, you go to a past life and then we'll ask your subconscious for information. I thought she was going to look at me like I had 2 heads. But she said that she's been looking for something like this.
Oh my God.
And she couldn't believe I did that because she had this brain condition called pseudotumor cerebri, and she never told me this. Here we are every day. We have kids at the same age. So she had this brain condition that caused vision damage, and the swelling in her brain caused severe headaches, and there was no cure.
Wow.
She was working really closely with the University of Miami medical specialists, and they put her on a whole bunch of medications. And this is a mom of 3 kids.
Wow.
So she was just really sad about this. The prognosis was not good. So we did the session, and after the session, she completely healed. Her team of specialists said it was impossible. They said that is completely impossible for that to happen without the medication. But what was amazing was when we did the session, we learned that she had all this information that she was carrying with her from Atlantis and Lemuria, and that in a past life, she was called crazy for letting this information out, and she was lobotomized and killed
Oh
herself.
my gosh.
This is the next life. So
Wow.
there was so much information we gathered about our real history, our true origins, about Atlantis and about Lemuria and what really happened. So she was a princess in Lemuria, and she was captured by the Atlanteans and lived in Atlantis in a prison for about 60 years.
Mm.
So I wrote everything down, and she wrote everything down, and it took us about 2 years to pull all of this important information out. And now I finally am able, we both published our books. The information is so powerful. I don't change a word in the information because it's so powerful. It's completely healing because it's like an awareness.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might even recognize yourself in this book.
Well, you know what I find interesting? You know, it's funny because I have my close circle of friends who, you know, they're everything in the world to me. And I find, you know, some of them also do have the interest in this as well. Some of them not as much as me. But it's like, you know, I'm like, do you understand that you actually were in that life? Like for me, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, I'm like, oh my God, okay, I do. Like, if people could understand they have that soul memory, it's called a soul memory,
Right.
that your body and mind and your soul literally can feel. It's almost like a trigger.
Right.
Like it was with Ellen when she said the red dress. It was like something clicked.
And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted something that people who can't get a session can read the words, and it will trigger something and create healing.
Yes.
Because so many people are back again. So many people are here that suffered during those times. So many people were here that lost everything in the flood and then in the cataclysm in Atlantis. So
yeah, and it's funny because I've always had a very strong connection to John Lennon all my life. Since I was 9 years old, I heard his song Imagine, and my whole life has been wrapped around the word imagine and the song Imagine. Everything. My website, I can't tell you, everything is. So I just found out recently, I spoke with her and I'm like, what lifetime do I have with John Lennon? Because I must have one with him somewhere, because it's like, I feel like I'm carrying on some of his work. And she did see a time period, only one. She said, I only see one lifetime with him. And it was in Atlantis. Wow. And she started channeling John. It was amazing. And the information that she brought through, or he was bringing through, was explaining how we were linked in that lifetime, and that we, you know, that was part of this lifetime for me, was bringing through some of that information from that lifetime, what he was trying to do again in this lifetime, which was basically having people be aware of their abilities and be able to express them, and to bring obviously, like we're all trying to do, bring the world to more of a peaceful existence, you know. So yeah, I mean, again, you know, and for some people, like, oh no, you know, that can't be real. And I'm the opposite. I'm like, you know, I'm blown away. I'm like, yeah, that was your real lifetime. Like my one close friend, I love her to death. She's like my everything. And we uncovered a couple of her lifetimes. I'm like, do you understand that was actually your life? You lived that life, like you are living this life, like you were doing this life. You actually lived that life, you know. I mean, it's mind blowing, and yet it's so easy to understand, and yet some people are like, you know, it just cracks me up. It's hysterical to me. Right? I'm like, yeah, this isn't the only one. That's why you go places in the world and you say, wow, this looks really familiar, or there's a reason you love Italy, but you can't stand China. You know, there's all reasons for every single, you know, why you like a certain kind of houses you live in, or, you know, it's really amazing to me.
Oh my gosh, I know so much of it stems from different lifetimes, from what
Hmm.
you liked or where you lived in a different lifetime. It's
Yeah, it's
funny.
fascinating.
So many times a client will think they're going to go to this castle and they're going to be a beautiful princess, and they realize that they've been living the same type of life for many, many lifetimes because they're trying to work and figure out this one lesson.
Right, right. Yeah, for me, like I said, it's so easy to understand. I think, I try to explain to people who are really new, and I always seem to come across people who are kind of like, it's almost like they know, and they
Right.
really do have memory, but they're not there yet to say, oh, okay. It's almost like you really have to kind of slowly help them see things in this lifetime that really are connected. It's putting the pieces together.
Because it just goes against anything we were taught when we were little. I
There
mean,
you go.
nobody said it was okay to believe in stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I think a lot of people, they're worried. They don't know if they can, so they
Yeah.
need baby steps.
And I think what's interesting, there was a show that was on TV years ago, I'm going to say 2 to 3 years ago, that they took off, which was really sad. I didn't like the title of it, though. And it was called The Ghost Inside My Child. And it's on YouTube. You can find plenty of them on YouTube. The Ghost Inside My Child, where it was actually shows on TV of children. And I'm talking under 5, 6, 7, usually 3-year-olds, 5-year-olds, that would literally be telling their parents about these other lifetimes. And their parents, even though they weren't into any of that, they were like, okay, I know something's going on. Like they recognized it wasn't just something's wrong with my child. They're really kind of mentally ill. They saw that there was a real truth to it. Like the one boy was drawing all these pictures of the Titanic, and they
Wow.
uncovered that he was actually the man who designed the Titanic. And this little
Wow.
boy would and you'll see that on YouTube. He would be so upset because when it went down, he felt so responsible and guilty. So, it's really an amazing, I love it. I can't get enough of, but I want to ask if there's anything else, because we're getting about another 5 minutes. We're going to wrap up here. Is there anything else that you want to share with the audience about how they can reach you?
Um,
Um,
you can reach me on my website. It's www.thetholistichypnotist.com.
Perfect. Perfect. And I think, we have it up there on the screen for those of you who want to be able to, put that down. And if you can't, get a hold of all that information, especially because this will also go on my radio show in Florida, I tell people you can contact me at my website, which is called imaginepeacenow.com, imaginepeacenow.com, and then I will relay your information to them. So yeah, it's very exciting, the work that you're doing. And how long have you been involved in this now, Sarah? And I
Since
know
2009.
how long?
2009, I became a
Oh,
master hypnotist and I started past life regressions.
wow, 2009. So yeah, you've really got some experience going on.
Seen a lot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would imagine it's fascinating work. I mean, it is a work I
Love it.
would really, yeah, it's something I would really like to get into. I mean, I'm
It's
getting there.
amazing.
Yeah,
I wish I could share it with the world, though, the feeling that you get when you're a practitioner, too, because I mean, for me, I know there's nothing to worry about. There's absolutely nothing to worry about. You're always loved, you're always being watched and helped, and you never die.
right. And I think for me, it's also seeing the thread that runs through, because I know a lot of people, say, well, they really don't think about those kind of things, or they don't. And I said, yeah, you don't think about it until something happens.
Right,
A
right,
tragedy happens, or something
right.
is happening in your life that's kind of like, that's when you start trying to go a little bit more deeper. Like, wait a minute, like what's really going on here? Do you
And
know what I mean? That's
sometimes
how it is for me.
And
Yeah.
sometimes those things happen so that the person goes deeper. That
Yeah.
happens all the time. My client just last week, she had Lyme disease for 3 years and she had to stay in bed. And her higher self said that was to get her quiet so that she could stop her old job and be still and get ready for her new purpose, which is
Hmm.
something for, I think it was YouTube that she was
Yeah.
supposed to spread her message and stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure spirit, our guides are always trying to help us. I explain to people you all have these spirit guides that they're literally like your cheerleaders on the other side. I get very frustrated with mine quite a bit. Not a lot, but when I do, I get really, like, there's been a few times I really have gotten upset. And it's not so much with my guides. I actually get more upset with the guides above my guides. Because I know that they know more than my own guides do, because there's a little bit of a level thing going on. You know, nobody's better than anybody else, but there is a level thing. You know, the more highly evolved you get, the higher you get up on the rung. So I have a couple times in my life gotten very angry with, you know, higher up guides. And I, you know, it's interesting to me because when I get that frustrated and I mean really angry, there's been a couple times, not many, but the few times I have, you know, I feel like I had really good reason to be. And it's like somehow
mad at your guides.
Yeah, somehow it gets things moving. I don't know what it is, like, because I don't blame, it's not that I don't feel like, I know I'm participating. So I know it's stuff that I'm doing or not doing as well. But when I feel like I'm really doing everything and things are still not moving, I get really ticked off. I'm like, wait a minute, you know, you need to show me more clear, like, what, you know, because I'm doing all the things that I feel strongly I came here that, you know, we kind of agreed for me to do. So, and then things get moving. It's really funny, or they'll show me something, you know. I had
what
one
do they say?
What
do they say is the reason they don't let you have everything?
Well, no, I think it's a combination of things. I think it, to be honest with you, I'll tell you a real quick story because we're probably going to have to wrap up. But I'm working with this woman, Ellen. Again, I would still like to try to do the past life because I really want to have the experience of going. And I don't do that with Ellen. It's more she goes in and speaks with my guides and she channels, which I love. But I still think it's different than having the experience of going into the past life.
Right.
So I had told her about experience in the year 2000. Now we're talking 20 years ago. And I have always been in and out of my mind, meaning I've spent most of my life in mental hospitals. And I thought it was because of a mental illness. And here I don't. And I already found that out myself. In 2016, I was being attacked. I've been attacked demonically. I've been attacked by darker energies. And I said to her in 2000, I was definitely in another dimension, losing it. And I said, I went into Walgreens. It was around Mother's Day, and I wanted to get a card for my mother. I was heading down to my mother's, but I wasn't all together. And I remember I was at the register at Walgreens, and there was nobody else there but one woman in line, an older woman, and she had her stuff. The lady at the register was already adding up her stuff. Within those 2 seconds, she turns full body and face at me. Now, I don't know this lady from anybody. And she says, "We're sorry we weren't ready for you yet." And at that moment, as soon as she finished saying that, the register rung up, a ring. You know how it has a ring?
Yeah.
She got her stuff, walked out, never saw her again. I'm standing there, and even though I was like losing it, I was out of my head a little bit. I still, like, that stuck with me. So when I talked to Ellen about it, she said, your guides were actually saying that something did go off track. They were not expecting what to happen in this lifetime with you. She said that at that time in 2000, the world wasn't there yet of where you were at in order to express your abilities. And I said, you know, I always felt like I was like way ahead. Like, I'm like, so somehow in our planning on the other side, we didn't quite plan too well because something went off, you know, where whatever we had planned, there was still something that maybe we missed or wasn't quite, you know, because I was living in a world where my abilities at that time were way ahead of what the world now after the year 2000, like 2010. I mean, the psychic medium world opened up like crazy. So, but back in, you know, 98, 99, 2000, I mean, I was like, you know, losing it because, yeah, the world's consciousness wasn't up to where I was at that time.
That makes so much sense.
The guides found a way to come through to let you know. And I said, wow. I said, well, that's great. That threw me off, you know.
It's always amazing when clients or people will talk about these people that are in physical form show up to either save their life or do something really important. It's amazing. So they can do anything. They
No,
can do
I
anything.
can't imagine. I can't
Bring
imagine
me
doing
$1 million right now, okay?
Yeah.
I said, bring me $1 million right now.
Right,
But I
right,
know
right,
they won't, because then I probably wouldn't do all my work.
right, right, right. Yeah, we really do have a real soul plan that we kind of execute.
Yeah,
We come down to execute it, and we
yeah,
have many opportunities to do so in different ways, and I think that's like really, I think when you really understand that you have the other side's got your back for the most part, except mine kind of got off a little bit. There was something that was missed. And I always felt like there was something that was not right. It was weird.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting.
yeah. But I feel like, when you understand that, you just keep coming through this earth, to keep evolving, Now Ellen claims she feels that this is my last time around, which I already felt that. I think that's one of the reasons I chose a really difficult lifetime, because I wanted to wrap up everything. I wanted to get all the loose ends tied up. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, it's very interesting. And I love the idea you were mentioning earlier about the other planets, because I'm very much into,
It's so fascinating. It's always fascinating to me when a client will regress back to a different planet and they'll describe it. And then after the session, they'll say, oh my gosh, was I making that up? And I'll tell them about all the clients I had that went to that exact same planet.
Wow.
It's amazing. There's so many planets.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's when you realize, I think a lot of things I read from Dolores Cannon, because I read a lot of her stuff. I was fascinated by her. She was so matter of fact. But when she said, there's no way that I'm hearing the same type of stories from so many people who don't even know each other. There's no way it can't be real.
Right.
Because I'm getting the same information about, wherever they went, or, there's no way that could be a coincidence. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's almost like my book. I didn't think I would write a book. I thought my client or my friend was going to write the book. But then I guess there are no coincidences. So many of my clients started and recounted the same lifetimes or the same situations, and it was just not a coincidence.
Yeah.
I'm always one to, it's almost, I need proof, but that was proof. So then.
Yeah. I mean, what better proof, right? I mean, what better proof?
They don't know each other, and they don't know about these civilizations.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. I think for me, like I said, watching this show, The Ghost Inside My Child, you cannot look at these children and know that they're making up a story. There's no way. There's such factual information that there's no way anybody in the right mind can say, oh, there's just no way. It's too unscripted, and yet it's scripted. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just, I don't know. For me, I think it's a matter of people allowing themselves to remember, allowing themselves. I told one friend not long ago, I said, you know what? Just kind of follow your intuition. If something feels right, then it probably is true. If it doesn't feel right, then that's probably letting you know, no, that doesn't have any truth to it. You're going to feel it. I said, when I see my woman and talk with her, I feel when she tells me things. I don't just say, oh, okay. It resonates with me,
And I guess for those people, they can just ask themselves, why is it so bad if I just allow myself to believe it? Or why is it so bad if those kids are telling the truth? What does that mean?
Yeah, I think some people, worry about feeling foolish, or don't want to be feeling like they've been taken, or like, or like for me, it's not a thing for me. I mean, God knows I'm way past this, but a lot of people are worried about being crazy. Seriously, that is a real issue. I thank God that I've had so many breakdowns. I've come back to normal again. Because I've been in and out so many times. I'm like, oh, okay, it's weird. It actually being really allowing yourself to be crazy actually opens up another whole, like you're so much freer. You are so much freer. So I always highly recommend people be crazy. Allow yourself to be more crazy. Because really, it's the crazy people that really, for me, are the ones that change the world anyway. You know, it's the people that were way ahead of their time that people would say, oh, they're crazy. And then it would happen, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, I remember in the halfway house, some of the people that were crazy were just beautiful people that spoke to angels. Or I remember one named Tan, he spoke to ETs. And this is so long ago, but everyone thought he was so crazy. He was on so many different medications, and they were trying to drown it out.
Right, exactly. And now we're talking about it. I mean, now there's like, I don't know if you've gotten on, it's a go-to Bashar.
I've heard of him.
.org. Oh my God, he's supposedly, you know, it's an ET channeling through him, and oh my God, it's amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. So we're talking about that stuff now, where 20 years ago, or 30, even maybe 15 years ago, we weren't, you know, that was considered to be out there, you know. So listen, I want to wrap this up. I want to thank you, Sarah. You know, I always have people on my show over and over again, and I want to thank you for being on, and we'll do this again and next year sometime. Yeah. I'd like to stay in touch with you and keep, you know, showing people what it is that you do. And I'm excited about your book. You know, next time you get your book one, I don't know if you don't have a picture of it yet, right? A cover?
I do, but you can only I could only show you with my phone.
Oh, okay. That's right. No, I'll get a copy and then we'll have it. Thank you so much, Sarah, for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. And for everyone, I want to thank you for tuning in this week. I just really enjoy the different guests that come on that really help us see something different and understand something different. So I want to thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you'll be back with us after the holidays. We are going to be taking a break, and then we'll have some new guests. So in the meantime, follow the path so divine for you, designed for you, and we'll see you again next time.
Become a Goldylocks Productions VIP patron. Receive exclusive access to live stream special and other epic perks. Join the Goldylocks Productions VIP community today.